Alright, I wanted to do a special video just to show you some of the innovative things you can do with your Counterpunch Express calculator. We're going to start with crude oil. We'll look at yesterday's session just because it's the most current session, just something random. And whatever I show you on this video will work the exact same way on MT4 and NinjaTrader and other markets, Forex, stocks, whatever. Let's ask a few questions and then answer them. So the first main question, and it's probably going to be what this video is focused on, is what if we want to look at the simplest approach possible for the Counterpunch Express, and how would we go about setting that up? So you could do one of two things. You could open up your calculator and you could start changing it and simplifying things. Or you can label this for what it is and leave it as is. We'll just call it CL 377 full plan. So at least it's labeled. We know what it is. Then we can go ahead and insert another calculator. Let's do that. Show me inserts NP CPX calc. And now we have a whole new calc. And we're going to call this, let's call it green simple. And the whole idea of this chart is we only want to look at the absolute simplest chart with just the green setups. And so we're only going to have one target, and we'll make it 1.5. And we're not going to look at white trades or purple trades. Let's see what that looks like. I have to turn the other calculator off. Let's go ahead. Now, both calculators are on, so I'm going to go to the one that I labeled, see, because you can see it right here. And then I'm just going to hit status, turn it off. And now I've got a very simple, easy calculator. Now, you could develop a trade plan like this, and you could pretty much use the same technique that I taught you, counting winning sessions, establish a good start time. And, you know, we know that we want to start crude oil at 850, normally with the full strategy. With green trades and only one target, I don't really know. But let's just follow it through and see. This is 847. It's going to trigger in right here, or right here when it comes up and gets in sync. Now, remember, we don't have a 1x on there, so maybe it went to 1x and would have canceled. It ultimately works its way all the way down. It looks like there could be a stop and reverse here, but just review the numbers. Entries at 26, you know, maybe you're going to push it up a couple ticks to 28, and it just barely touches 28. So, you know, again, you have to work at it. You may end up discovering something that you really like. Just the green trades. You could always put on a second target. So perhaps the one target is too simple. You can come up here and put on a target 1 like so. You can make the second target larger. Give it more emphasis. Okay, so it didn't hit target 1. Now you see some nice good trades in here though. Yeah, maybe the 377 isn't the best idea for this. Remember, we're just looking at a random chart. I'm just trying to show you some of the things you can do to explore new ideas. What about looking at a 610 tick? That's usually a good time frame as well. You're going to get bigger yet slower moving trades. A lot of volatility in crude oil. 610 is another Fibonacci number. Let's go back and take a look. So now with the start time at 8, here's 8:49. So you get a setup right around in here. You're pretty much taking the same trade. And that's not going to stop and reverse. And that's going to come all the way down. and hit your target. You see, this one too. This one triggers in, and that's going to come down and hit a target, and it hits it perfectly. That one hits it perfect. Money management on this long trade, perfect. Yeah, eventually you're going to get to the end of a trend. It's not going to work. Another short trade. The 610 tick chart is really good. Just to give you an idea of the size of this trade. 49.96. Probably push that down to 94. Going to 77. 94 up to 14, 20 tick risk. It's not unreasonable. Some of them are a little bigger. So, you could look at other charts as well. We could look at some Forex, but what if you wanted to look at a range bar? You can certainly put on a momentum bar. You could look at a Renko bar. A lot you can do with this. Renko, of course, you got to adjust all your entries, targets, and stops to the high or low of the bar. You do a little research on how Renko works, but they're really good charts. Let's see. We could also, instead of green trades, maybe we just want to look at white trades. So let's go ahead and turn off the green, turn on the white. The white trades maybe not working so well when that 50 EMA is pushing lower and you keep making lower lows and lower highs. Maybe you want to wait for a little extra confirmation when you make, a 1, 2, 3 bottom type of thing. Ultimately, it works out. There's a lot of trades that aren't going to work out right at or about the 50 EMA. You still got your squeeze zone filter, so that cancels this one. That one here is before your start time, right? So remember, start times are important. All things being equal, looking at our trade plan, 850, that's a non-trade because it's in the squeeze zone. So is that, but it doesn't trigger in. That one, the entry is at 91. It gets as high as 89, so that doesn't trigger in. So even though it looks like a bunch of losing trades, so far there aren't any losing trades. This one is at 932. That's the one that triggers in, and that's the one that wins. So you see why you have to kind of step through everything and think it through carefully. The first white trade you get, according to the rules, is one and done, a nice winner. From 86 to 09, remember this is a 610 tick chart. But that's pretty simple, isn't it? Is that a simpler looking chart? One good trade. It only took you 41 minutes or 42 minutes. By the time it triggered in, 45 minutes. And then you got a trade that, at the 45-minute mark from when you started, you're getting long, and then you're getting out 2.5 minutes later with the winning trade. Again, you could test this idea. The next trade, well, that's also a winner. And look at the perfect target. You see? Right edge of the chart. Perfect target. Target's at 73, stabs down to 73. These are just the white trades. Look how simple this could be. Could you try something like this with Forex? Yeah. What if you just want to look at the purple trades? Let's turn those on. You could also combine white and purple, or green and purple, or white and green. And it's worth playing around. Spend a little time. Spend a little time learning your strategy. So, you know what? No purple trades at this point. Purple trades are very special trades. This one would have been a purple trade, right? Because, well, no, it's not. It's even with the green, maybe with the second dot over. If it was a little lower, it would have been in between. So, the first purple trade, just a tiny little thing. But then look at that purple trade. You finally get one, and it just almost hits target, barely missing. But a nice trade. You can certainly trade it for profit. Target one, work around the signal line. Some days you get more than others. Yeah, the purple trade maybe wasn't as good today as in other days. Purple trades are very good. The purple trade is unique. You have to kind of learn how it works. But one thing is you could look for tops and bottoms, because when you get a top, let's just go back and use that last trade as an example. You have a low. You have a low here. You have a higher low here. And then it comes down and tests this low, and it's even with it. I guess that counts. So it not only has to be lower than the one before, and then higher or even with two back. Right, that's just how the code is written. So a 1, 2, 3 little bottoming formation in this group of trades. I mean, yeah, there's bigger ones. Right? You have a 1, 2, 3, but that's already too many exhaustion dots. It doesn't look that far back, but it's looking here. You get the principle. So here's an example of a really good purple trade where you can see how the dots line up on the 50 EMA, and that's another idea. You could just learn to specialize and look for those. You could put all 3 trade setups on there and only look for when support becomes resistance, and you get the pullback testing it, and the exhaustion, and then the move down. This purple trade is based on this group of dots right here, you see? And so it's higher than one and lower than the other. So you have a little 1, 2, 3 formation. The 1 is higher than the 2 goes down, and then it comes up and retests, and the 3 number, the 3 group, is lower than the 1 group, right? But higher than the 2 group. And this gives you your purple trade. And that's how that trade works. It's a really good setup in principle if you understand it. The purple trade probably being the most nuanced of the 3. So here's a 610 tick pound US dollar. I had to go into the calculator, of course, and change the entry to make it 2 pips and 2 ticks. So I added a 20, added the extra 0, right? But same chart. Didn't do anything. Green trades. Never looked at this chart ever in my life. 610 tick, pound US dollar. It's a slower day trade. These are trades that are just going to be slow, and they're going to be based on order flow through this broker. If you're on MT4, I'm sorry, you can't use a tick chart. But you can try a 5-minute chart. You can try a 15-minute chart with just green trades. Or you can just get a better charting platform. Even though MT4 is great, TradeStation and Ninja are going to give you so many more possibilities. Tick charts are really great charts. They're charts not based on time. They're based on the order flow. Buys and sells going through the market. And just randomly looking at a random session, just happens to be the of today. Let's go back and find the US session trade. So if I go back to here, that's at 637. So remember, just start at 8:30, all things being equal. So the first trade is probably this one, and it is at 9:21. And look how it comes down and ultimately hits target 1 or target 2, your money management target, your take profit target for a perfect trade. And is it a good sized trade? Well, 53.29 down to 53.03. Yeah, that's a great trade. When you hit target 1, if you move your stop and lock in, unfortunately, that's as far as you go. You're going to stop out, and maybe it doesn't get all the way to that target. So there is that. You have to have your money management plan in place, and maybe you take profit at target 1. There's nothing to stop you to take half your position off, for example, or a third of your position. You can go a third at target 1, a third at target 2, and a third to trail. So at target 1, you go from 29 down to 13. Add a few pips of spread on there. Out at 16, still a good trade for part of your position, and then you're going to break even. You're not quite going to make it. On the bridge session, both these trades are bridge session trades. You're in the chop zone, but you're below the 50, so you could take them. And they both work out. Look at that target. And that one, money management's not going to stop you out. Well, it might come up. Maybe it comes up and stops you out here. Once again, it's all about trade planning. You look at a lot of examples, and then you come up with a little rule that works most of the time, but you can still take part of your profit off at target 1, right? 53 down to 35, not bad. Maybe even get in sync with this trade. If you stop out at money management, you still have this trade, you get in sync with it, and that's going to come down and give you another target 1 winner. These are the European session trades. You're certainly going to want to work around this resistance level right there. That's an obvious one. So those aren't going to trigger in, and you have a short trade here, and it does trigger in, and look, it works all the way down to a perfect target. But you're in the chop zone. Your entry's a little above the 50. Remember, you can't go short if the entry's above the 50 in the chop zone. So maybe that's just a trade you pass on. If you adjust a little bit below the 50, you grab it. You still get to grab this trade later. But you can see theoretically how, look how accurate that is. And the stop is in the perfect place, and it comes down, and just a random look. Obviously, you can put on just white trades. You can put on just purple trades. Like I said, we're just looking. So how about a random look at the Euro US on a 610 chart? Again, let's go back and see. There's a trade there, but it's in at noon. That's too late. You don't want to trade the Euro US in the afternoon, okay? You just don't, of the US session. The first trade of the day at 8:30 is, let's find 8:30. All right, so here we go. There's really no setup because that one's canceled. That one doesn't trigger in. This one ultimately does trigger in, and it's not going to go far enough. That one will stop out. So that's a US session. Well, let's take that back. It looks like it's going to stop out. But guess what? You're in the chop zone. You got to remember to look at that. That trade is avoided. So the chop zone saves you from taking a losing trade. This one down here is at 13345, and it gets as low as 13345. But we don't use the extra digit. Remember, we're going to push the entry away to 1334, and so that trade gets avoided too. So there's no trades, there's no losing trades, you're just neutral. See how the system handled this? The little rules we use, the filter, the little additional adjustment on that 5th digit keeps you out of 2 losing trades in a row. What happens? This trade is, well, that's bridge session. So the bridge session starts at 5 a.m. and this one's at 3:46. So here's your first trade during the bridge session. And it triggers in and it hits a lovely target, misses by a hair, but then ultimately works its way through. So the bridge session is one and done. A random look, a random chart, just one setup, the green. Is this easy? Could you trade like this? After everything I've taught you in all the other videos, you might be thinking, wow, there's so much to think about. There's so many things to learn. You know, I could see that maybe it's too much. You could slow it down. You could simplify. You could simplify your chart. What about the European session? Well, there's a European trade, and that one goes. Look at that. Look at how it just almost hit target 2. It missed by a hair. You see that? It's perfect. Now maybe when you get to target 1, you're going to come down. You're not going to make it that far. You're going to stop out right in here. You know, money management certainly can be a fly in the ointment. The whole idea is learn your tool set, be creative, don't be afraid to put on a unique chart. You know, if you don't want to look at a 5-minute chart on a particular market, look at a 2-minute chart on crude oil, for example, or on the Dow Mini. Look at a 7-minute chart. Look at a 610 tick. If that's too slow, but you want something slower than a 377 tick, maybe for the Dow Mini or the Russell, look at a 500 tick chart or a 410 or 417, or look at a range bar. So many things you can do. Focus in on just one setup alone. Study it for a while. Go back and count winning and losing sessions using that real simple and effective method. And then look at the same chart and do the same thing with white trades. Look at the duration of the trade. Look at how long the trade lasts and imagine yourself in it. Think of how many trades there are each session as you're looking. Just, take note of it. If you have a chart that gives you 1 or 2 trades and that's it, and they're all within, a half hour, an hour, 2 hours at the most, however long you want to trade, and those trades win a majority of the time, you're gold. You've got a money-making business. Just like that. The setups are good. Now you have to become the operator of your trade business. Use your tools, learn how to use it, find the thing that speaks to you. Find the chart, find the way to use the strategy that is you're most comfortable with. You can then pursue more complexity later if you choose to. But you know what? Sometimes if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. You might just happen upon a real simple plan. You love it. It works easy. All you have to do is show up, take the trades, put on the small risk, turn it off, go enjoy your day. Tomorrow comes, do the exact same thing like a cookie cutter, like running a dry cleaning business. Open the shop, tend to your customers, closing time, go home, day after day, hire an assistant, teach them how to do it for you. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? Be the operator of your business plan, your business, your trade business. Don't just be some guy trying to trade. Use the tools to create something for yourself as simple as you need it to be. Alright, I hope this video was helpful. You're going to love the Counterpunch Express. You made a great choice. Just become a student of the strategy. Use the trade room while you can. Ask your questions. Get as much exposure, as much experience. Don't be in a hurry to trade live. Spend more time focusing in on building the right structure, the right plan, the right foundation for you, so that when you ultimately do go live, you have put yourself in the best possible position to succeed.